Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. This is Reservations, and I'm Jeremy Blair.
And I'm Rain Wayland. Man, dude, it seems like this season has just flown by.
I know, we're almost done.
I think, again, and I said it earlier this season, I think it's because we've just rocked this season. No time off. We've just been going.
Yeah.
Except for that 1 week that we took a week off.
We may have taken 2 weeks or something, but not nearly as much as we usually do. So.
Well, and also, last season was fucking an actual what would be considered a TV season.
Yeah.
Took a year. Took us almost a whole year to do it. But man, it's hard to believe that it's over.
It's not
over. Well, almost over.
Nothing's over.
It's almost over.
Jesus.
It's not over until it's over.
Oh my god.
So Jeremy, we were talking about a movie that you just saw the other day. I think you should tell everyone about it.
Which one? Okay. So, does this count? Is this the strike is still going on? Does this count?
I mean, I guess.
Okay. Gonna tell you anyway. Who cares? So I saw 2 movies of the weekend, and then one literally just before we started recording. I saw Sisu, which was great. Everyone should see it. It's awesome. Super violent and bloody, and it's killing Nazis. So it was fun.
So it's a cross between Inglourious Basterds and John Wick.
Yeah, pretty much. It was super cool. Liked it. And then afterward, we watched a childhood favorite of Haley's, and we watched Aquamarine. It was pretty good.
I remember that movie, but I never saw it. It was
yeah.
I mean, it's no She's the Man,
That's true. But it was good. It was fun, and I had been drinking. It was great. It was a good movie.
Well, no wonder you liked it.
And then literally right before we started recording, I had to delay the recording because it was still going. I watched, I don't know how it's pronounced, but it's either Innis Main or Eins Men. Not really sure how you pronounce it, but it was awesome. Awesome.
Now this one I am really interested in. I remember seeing an ad for it either before I took my social media break, either on Facebook or maybe just an ad on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I remember them doing the most shocking, insane movie. And I was like, okay, does it have to be that? And I found the movie, mm-hmm. and it just interested me because what you were telling me, it gave me 70s feel. I was like,
yes. So shot like a 70s film. It's set in 1973. And I don't know if it's if you're shooting it this way, you have to. So not only does it look like a 70s film, but he's also shooting it like a 70s film. So mm-hmm. It's got those weird push-ins. It's got these weird close-ups. It's, it's shot with that same sort of camera movement, camera placement, blocking, all that kind of stuff that you would traditionally see in a 70s film. It reminded me a lot of Don't Look Now, The Wicker Man. It was sort of stuff like that. And it was cool. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't oversell it like the most insane or anything like that. I mean, it's nuts, but I mean, I've seen weirder. So, but it was great. And it's a lot of unpacking still to do. I literally, like I said, just finished it. So there's still a lot of unanswered questions, and I may reach out to a former college professor of mine and reach out to her and see what she thought, because I'm lost. So I don't know.
Well, you said it was on Hulu, so
yes, it is on Hulu. I might get, as of the time of recording.
Yeah, I might get around to watching it, because again, the fact that it looked like a 70s film, because at first I thought it was. I thought mm-hmm. maybe it was an unearthed movie.
Yeah.
And then when I found it, I was like, wait, the release date is 2022.
Yeah.
What do you mean? And then when I saw some of the stills on IMDb, I was like, so it's supposed to look like a 70s movie. So
Yeah.
it has everything I'm interested in, but I just haven't gotten around to watching it. So
it was cool, and I really liked it. Very atmospheric. Try to watch it in the dark with no distractions if you can. Just be immersed by it because it is cool. It's very unique yet nostalgic and reminiscent of those films from the 70s. I really liked it.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Cool. That's good to know. Yeah. And good to know that you liked Aquamarine.
I did. Yeah.
Oh man. So buddy, what's part 3 of our end of season series today?
All right. So let me pull up his name because I want to get it right because I'll be referencing him quite a bit throughout this episode. John Patrick Shanley. John Patrick Shanley's Doubt is what we're talking about today.
Man, you know, I kind of said this off mic, but dude, we're kind of entering your world here, growing up Catholic.
Yeah.
You know, and having gone to Catholic school, you know, you can touch on like if it's this strict.
I will tell you just right off the bat, way different. I mean, they had nuns as their teachers. I did not. My mom did, and my aunts and uncles did. They had nuns. I did not. So by the time I got to St. Anne's, the Catholic school we all went to, by the time I got there, no. They
also had like regular teachers.
Mm-hmm. Nuns were gone, not as strict. There were, like, of course, parts of the mass that's never going to change. So when they were like preparing for the mass, during mass, all that stuff, that's pretty standard. So I was able to, you know, just nudge Haley and go, "Hey, those bell things, we didn't start doing that again until I was in middle school or whatever." So,
you know, well, and you know, the other thing, and I know, and I definitely want to talk about it because I watched a video about it. You know, this was right. And maybe you can correct me, but when the Catholic Church was going through a reform on how the church needs to be represented, and because it was 64 is when the movie takes place.
Yeah,
because it was the year
1964.
Yeah, because it was the year after Kennedy was assassinated.
Yes, 1964.
Yeah, which we also visited, so it all comes full circle.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Jeremy, would you like me to, because I'm assuming you want to jump into this, give everyone just that quick little synopsis?
Yeah.
So Doubt, like we said, takes place in 1964 at a Catholic church in the Bronx, and it follows, truthfully, 3 main characters, technically 2, but in a way 3. We have our priest, Father Flynn, played by the amazing, and he will always be missed, Philip Seymour Hoffman. We have Sister Aloysius, she's the principal of the Catholic Church, played by Meryl Streep, who also crushes it. And then we have Sister James, who is a new teacher to the Catholic school, played by Amy Adams, who was also amazing. Everyone in this film was amazing. Yeah, let's just get that out of the way now. And it's just we're seeing a year, correct? Because we don't get time like years throughout. So this is like,
it's a school year.
Yeah.
Or so no, it's really just autumn. Honestly, it's really just that time. Yeah.
Okay. So we're seeing this 1 month in this life of this church, and the whole film centers around Sister Aloysius being very suspect of Father Flynn. And it all stems from this one sermon he gave about a feeling of doubt. And she thinks, well, that's weird. Why would a priest be talking about doubt? And starts essentially an investigation with Sister James after Sister James comes to her with some information that may or may not be troubling, and starts a campaign to uncover the truth, which is that Sister Aloysius believes Father Flynn sexually assaulted one of the boys at the school, and she will prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And 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 that's honestly the movie. I'm going to be honest. Amidst this, before I did the synopsis, I loved it, by the way. First time viewing for me, I loved it. But I wasn't expecting the movie to play the way it did, which is nothing is really, I don't want to say resolved in a way, but there's no catharsis in the film,
No, and that's on purpose. So John Patrick Shanley intentionally wrote a story where you don't know for sure.
Right. Which is why actually I'm kind of glad, because I was telling Ashley about it, and I thought the point of the film was he 100% did it. But as I was watching the film, I was like, well, we're not getting answers. Like, we're getting clues. Like, yes, some of the clues kind of point, but some of the other clues we've gotten point in the other direction as well.
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't expecting that. And it was so interesting. And maybe I'm sure there's a reason for it. Why, what was his name again?
John Patrick Shanley.
Okay. I'm sure there's a reason for it. And since you've seen this movie more than me, maybe you can help me fill in that gap.
I just saw it one other time, and I might as well not have seen it because I didn't really remember much. And I saw it this time, and I was like, this is incredible. How do I not watch this all the time? Because it's really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, so, okay. The story is ambiguous, right? If you were to ask Haley, she watched it with me. If you were to ask Haley, it is not ambiguous. She goes, he did it 100%. Shut up. Don't talk to me anymore. And, well, yeah, I don't disagree that he is guilty. But, you don't know that for sure. Right. And I personally am on the side of Sister Aloysius. Thank you, Sister Aloysius. That he is guilty. I think all signs point to it. There's a lot of evidence to suggest yes. However, some of our audience, and maybe even half, who knows, is a Sister James, and is an optimist, and is saying there's no way, because if there is a way, then if something that horrible can happen by what's supposed to be one of the holiest of people, right, priests, nuns in this Catholic Church, in this holiest place, that then what does that mean? It's almost like if that's true, then all hope is lost, and that what's the point of any of it? And that's there you go. There's the story. The story is, which one are you?
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm gonna give you a bullshit answer.
Okay.
Because I know you're gonna say, well, that's bullshit. I don't lean either way. For me, both sides are equal in their clues.
Okay.
We have a lot of evidence pointing to the fact that yes, he 100% probably not only has sexually assaulted Donald, but has continued to sexually assault Donald. But then there's a lot of evidence pointing to the fact that no, he's trying to protect Donald. He's trying to shield him from everything. And so I'm like, I don't lean either way. I need essentially one thing to tip one of those scales to decide. Now, I would say then, if I had like a gun to my head, I would probably lean maybe a little bit more Sister James.
Interesting.
But again, that's not my definitive answer, because there's still a lot of evidence pointing to Sister Aloysius being 100% right. Like his fucking fingernails, bro. Those are sexual predator fingernails, dude. 100%.
Yeah, they're gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, he's very odd, right? I
Hmm.
think God, I mean, so Shanley does an amazing job, right? I mean, obviously he knows the story in and out. It's his story, right? He wrote it.
Right.
Um, the way that he chooses to film and chooses to highlight certain things. For instance, when Donald and Father Flynn are alone, and Donald talks to him about the sermon, about the doubt sermon, right?
Hmm.
And Father Flynn shows him that little cool magnet thing, right, with the spinny lady. Um, it's tense. It's unnecessarily. I mean, there's no evidence to suggest why I should feel this way, right? Why do I feel
Right.
nervous? I shouldn't feel nervous. It's the no music, really no sound. It's the close-ups of the hands. It's the tightness of the quarters they're in. They're in an intimate space. It's uncomfortable,
Hmm.
right?
Oh yeah.
And so that right there is sort of to tip you off, like, okay, what's going on? That's suspicious. This makes me uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And and of course, Father Flint, he's such a strange guy because we see him interact with other kids too, right?
Hmm.
Like the bully one. What's his name?
I just know they call him by his last name, London.
Perfect. London works. So his interaction with London is also very tense, but in a sort of angry way, not in a really uncomfortable way, just in a this kid is sort of oppositionally defiant, right? This kid is just you know a kid, and he's angry. That's some kids.
Hmm.
But of course, later on, when Sister Al, damn it, do it one more time.
Aloysius.
Aloysius, thank you. When Sister Aloysius says, I watched you with London right there, and that interaction alone, gave me pause and gave me suspicion. And then you think back on him, like, I guess that is sort of weird. Why would have London have reacted like that? You know,
Hmm.
other than him just felt like he was getting picked on, right? Which would be
Right.
what you would think originally when you saw it in the first place.
Hmm.
And so then the movie becomes this, okay, well, am I seeing something innocent or am I seeing something malicious? Right?
Hmm.
And what did I see? What didn't I see? And of course, this film and story, this play chooses to show you things and chooses to omit certain things. Um, we didn't see Donald drink wine, you know?
Hmm. Yep.
So that whole thing is really just hearsay, right?
Yeah.
What actually happened, we don't know. We weren't there, right?
Right.
Much like Aloysius. Did I get it right?
Yeah. Aloysius.
Aloysius and James weren't there, right? So they're hearing
Hmm.
everything from Donald and then from Flynn. Um, this movie is even more fascinating because of when it came out. Because the play is older than the movie. Of course, the play is, I don't know, maybe a decade or so older um,
Okay.
than the movie is. But when it came out, that was when you know our boys down in Boston did their little research project on the Catholic Church, and that's when that started happening again.
Which one?
Did you see Spotlight? It's really good, but it's
Oh.
the uncovering of the Catholic Church. That was around this time.
No, I've wanted to see Spotlight because I mean
Well, it's very good,
it's got Michael Keaton in it.
of course. Sorry, I don't know what that was. Anyway, so um, so yeah, just the way that the movie is laid out, it really is sort of just up to you.
Mm-hmm.
And what are your feelings on it? What do you see? What do you not see? What biases are you coming into the movie with? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you want to be true? That's also something, right?
Right.
So I guess um we can start with Aloysius. We can start with Meryl Streep.
Absolutely.
She's incredible. Um,
Of course. Yeah.
of course. And I mean, it's sort of cliche to say that she's good, right? And then you watch her in this, you go, I get it,
No.
right?
Yeah. I mean, she is probably one of the most talented actors of her generation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
She's incredible. And so when we hear that sermon about doubt,
Mm-hmm.
um, and she brings it up at the nun table when they're eating dinner, which, by the way, I'd much rather hang out with the priests at their dinner. It's way more fun.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say I love. We'll circle right back, but I
Yeah,
love the dichotomy of that the priests are having fun,
yeah,
making jokes while they're having dinner, and then the nuns are just silent.
yeah.
And yeah.
Well, and she's very militaristic. She runs a tight ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she's not a horrible woman. She's not mean by any means because she's just strict. She has a vision of what the world should be. She feels that if she takes a step back on anything that she holds important, then
Mm-hmm.
the whole world will collapse. That's how she feels, right?
Yeah.
If I don't stick to my beliefs, my ideologies, the way I think things should go, if I take if I take a relaxed stance on anything, the whole world will crumble because it's already starting to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so at first you think she's kind of being mean. I thought anyway when she brought up the sermon, and I think or it's like I thought at first she was testing the nuns, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is sort of her way of keeping control and order over the other sisters, and but instead she's sort of putting out there like I'm not so sure about Father Flynn.
Right.
Will someone, I won't admit it, but will someone say something too? You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
she's sort of sneakily saying, she's casting aspersions about Father Flynn without doing so in an obvious way because she doesn't want to be seen as someone who's questioning the church. Heaven forbid.
Right. Yeah. I watched a video today, and they talked about that scene of her bringing up the sermon because what they hopefully Future Rain will credit that video at around this part, but they mention how she is she's doing it. I agree with you as a test, but also because if she's like, well, if he's preaching about doubts, like, well, we can't have doubts in our faith.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what his sermon was about. He was saying that it's okay to have doubts, you know but I think you're right. I think she was trying to test the other nuns to see if they were put out by this as well.
Yeah, because she doesn't, of course, later on when they trick him into coming to her office to talk about the Christmas pageant, even then
Yeah.
it's not what they wanted him there for in the first place. But even then, he's making these wild, um, these wild suggestions about having secular music. Oh my God, heaven forbid! And
Frosty
there
the
wasn't that.
Snowman, oh my god.
Yeah, it's basically Satan worship, and but even then, that's not even what they were there to talk about. But even then, she has such disdain. Um, she has such disdain for any sort of behavior that she deems is not of the church and of the Catholic Church, and traditions, and she holds all of that very true, and she loves it, right? This is what she's dedicated her entire life to. Wouldn't you hate to
Yeah.
see it be changed and see things be different?
Well, I have a counter to that. I think so. I agree. I I think it's the same video where they talk about that another reason why she is the way she is she doesn't want pretty much everything you're saying. Yes, but she feels like if it changes, then it ruins everything,
mm,
and it needs to stay the same, essentially.
I see.
And so, to your question, something I've dedicated my life to, I wouldn't want it to change. I I agree with half of that. Yes, I wouldn't want it to change because if
Mm,
this is something I've dedicated to, I've spent time in, it shouldn't change. But the other half needs to change.
mm,
If it's become stagnant and there's been nothing new, then something needs to change.
mm.
And I think that's where certain things with Father Flynn I agree with.
See, that's what I'm talking about, because you're exactly right. Because the way he talks sometimes, and oh my God, I mean, we'll get to the Christmas stuff in a second, but the analogy of ripping the pillow open
mm-hmm.
was so good, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And of course he's angry at that moment, and he is pointing this sermon at the two sisters, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
what he's doing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But there's things that he says, and he is a very commanding presence. He is very charismatic, and I do like it,
Yeah.
and again, he's hip more so than than the sisters are, and yet there is that sort of glimmer of possible maliciousness within
Mm-hmm.
Flynn, right? But you're right, when he's speaking about these things, about bringing in secular music and making it a little bit more fun, for lack of a better term, um, making it a little more modern, isn't
Yeah.
so bad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Especially
agree.
with what he says about, we want them to view us as family. We should be like family to them. That's what I was raised. I mean, I was raised Baptist, but we were always raised to believe that, a church is your second family. And and I think a part of it is Aloysius is threatened by that.
Mhm.
Well, I know, because she says we're different. We shouldn't be their family. We're different. And
Yeah.
and I think it just this movie's got so many layers, bro. Because I agree with you. You know, which I guess is a good transition to Father Flynn is, he's so charismatic. Everyone likes him. All the priests like him. The majority of the nuns like him. Most of the kids like him. And, it definitely seems like he is, very charismatic and to a point cares about his church. But you're right, there are these these certain scenes where you're like, there could be something else under the surface. Again, the fucking fingernails, bro, that shit bothers me so much. And I love that her final thing to him after their battle of wits is, and cut your fingernails.
Mm-hmm.
uh
Yeah.
because again, man, it bothers me. And again, I think that was my first clue that something's under the surface, when he was making a point to show all the boys, like, look at my fingernails. Like, yeah, I like them long. And I'm just like, that's weird, dog. Like, why would you do that? Like, I understand the point you're making about cleanliness, but like, that's weird.
I know. Yeah. No, I agree. It's very. very strange and off-putting, and it's, he's just a weird guy. But then again, there's that juxtaposition where you know, he's liked by most, right? Now,
Yeah.
when you were saying that when he was referring to the church needs to be a second family, okay? Aloysius says, no, we're different, okay? She is proven so right when she meets Mrs. Miller, okay?
Yeah.
Because, all right, probably one of my favorite scenes in the film is when she's walking Mrs. Miller to work, and they have that hard discussion. The sister needs to tell her exactly what's going on without being explicit, right? She needs to gently ease her way into, this is what's going on, these are my suspicions, this is what I believe is happening to your son. Okay? Shanley has done something brilliant here, where he has chosen to make this family African American. Okay?
Okay.
Because that changes everything. And here's why. Because we are now dealing with an African American family in 1964. We are dealing with him being in a Catholic school in the Bronx, and that Aloysius did mention hosts predominantly Irish and Italian families. Okay. And so now, when confronted with this problem, that Donald may be being sexually abused, to Mrs. Miller, it's like, okay, is he being beaten? No. Okay. Is he doing well in school? Yeah. Okay. Is he having trouble with any of the students? No. Okay. Then why are you telling me any of this? Right?
Yeah.
And at first you're like, what is your problem? Here's her problem. Her problem is that he's in a good school, he's going to go to a good high school, he's going to have a better life than they have. Okay? Than the Millers have. His father beats him on a regular basis. Okay? And it is implied it is because Donald himself may be a homosexual. Okay?
Yes.
And that, of course, is a problem in 1964, and especially in an African American household in 1964, that is a problem. And so, as long as he's doing well in school, he's not being beaten, and he seems to like Father Flynn, and Father Flynn is giving him attention, and she has no proof that this is happening, then let him finish the year. Okay?
Yeah.
And at first, I'm sure you were feeling the same way, that at first you're like, why? Why are you not listening to her? Why are you not listening to the sister? Because what she's saying is very serious. But what Miss Miller is saying is also equally as serious. Is saying that if you have no proof, then you shouldn't be talking to me about it. He's doing well. He's doing fine. He gets enough abuse at home. This doesn't, even if it is true, I believe this is what she said, even if it is true, it's not that bad. It's basically what she's saying.
In a way.
If it is true, he has a positive male figure to look up to, at least. One that is powerful enough to see him through the year and get him in a good high school. Okay?
Yes.
So what Mrs. Miller is trying to do and is having to compartmentalize is, what is the worst of the two evils? Right? And holy Jesus, it is just so much to digest and comprehend in that moment, because on the surface, and you can attest to this in a moment, that you were just so angry with her and just, you're frustrated because you're like, you're not listening, right?
Yeah.
Does
Mm-hmm.
does sister have to like spell it out for you? Does she have to explicitly tell you what's happening or what might be happening to Donald?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
Yeah, it's well. Well, first of all, Viola Davis, amazing.
Dude, I know.
I was telling Ashley how impressive it was, the fact that she's only in 2 scenes in this movie,
Mhm.
2, and that was enough to get her a nomination for Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah.
Unreal. Um, but yeah, I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
But it's I understand her side of it, which is everything you just spelled out, which is he's not being beaten. Yeah, London is kind of being a little bit of a bully, but no one is making him feel like he doesn't belong here.
Mhm.
You know, James is probably his best friend.
Yeah.
Um, he's got good grades, you know, and there is a male figure in his life who's making a positive impact. So again, I see exactly where Mrs. Miller's coming from. Because as she says, you know, if you kick him out of school, because Aloysius said, you know, to protect Donald, I will remove him from the school.
Mhm.
And you know, she says, if you do that, my husband will kill that child, because you know he knows his son is gay, but as Mrs. Miller says without saying, is the fact that he's doing so well in this school is enough. And and so I was getting ramped up because I was like, are you not listening?
Mhm.
Your son is potentially being sexually abused and sexually taken advantage of by a grown man who's in a position where he's not he's supposed to help these boys, but he's only servicing a need. But again, I understand why she's picking what she thinks is the lesser of two evils.
Mhm.
Um, which it's not the lesser of two evils, it's just two different evils that she's, you know, but it did make me realize that scene. It made me realize this, which is the same argument that Father Flynn's having, is this isn't really about the kids, you know,
Mhm.
because none of the adults are really, I mean, yes, Aloysius is thinking about Donald, but not in that way, because at the same time you could be said that she's not listening to Mrs. Miller.
Mhm.
Like if she's just saying this just till June, he just needs to make it till June, you know, most people would be like, okay, so what do you want me to do? Nothing. Well, I'll try, you know. But Aloysius is so dead set on protecting Donald that she's going to do whatever she can, you know. So the scene really, again, I agreed with everything you said, but also it made me realize, like, these adults are trying to decide what's best for this one kid.
Yeah, and in a way, you're also correct by saying that it's not really about Donald as much as it's about what is happening, what she perceives to be happening, threatens everything she believes in. And if this is true, then then she has dedicated her life to nothing. She has dedicated her life to, you know, to to nothing that will save her or anyone else around her. Because if this can happen in a place where she feels is, you know, the safest, and you know that she holds so high, right, a place that, you know, the church and the religion, the Catholicism, this is everything to her. And if she holds true to this, then she is, you know, she is living the highest, or I don't know what I'm saying. I do know what I'm saying, but she's, if it's true, then nothing she has dedicated her life to makes a difference. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what she's struggling with, right? Because and that's sort of why I think she does obviously care about Donald. She does care about the kids. We're not saying that she's not. I'm saying that
right.
she cares about the kids a little less than she cares about, this all being for nothing and this not
Hmm.
making a difference. And what she is doing and what she holds up and what she believes means nothing. That's what she's struggling with.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree. And also, you know, uh, that someone, again, this priest who's supposed to, as you said at the beginning of the episode, supposed to be the holiest person, the best person at this church is the one who's doing this, and so so I'm sure a part of it's like, well, if he's doing this, it, yeah,
Well,
I think we're saying the same things.
well, but then again, maybe he isn't, and that brings us to Sister James. Okay,
Okay.
because this may also be evidence of there is something malicious going on, because she's the one who brings it to Aloysius's attention in the first place, right?
Right.
She of course is this fresh, innocent nun in this church. She's young. She's green. She's still very timid, right? She hasn't
Hmm.
gotten that calloused skin yet. That Aloysius has. That I am so certain that she won't either. I don't think Sister James will ever be that calloused.
Well, and we got a little bit of that later,
Mhm.
where she tries to be, and
Yes,
it kind of breaks her.
yeah. But when of course, she is worried enough to even bring it to her attention, but she immediately regrets it, right? Because as soon as she says something about Donald, about the wine, and about Father Flynn, right?
Hmm.
It's almost in that moment, Aloysius is sort of like, that's it. That's gotta be it. That's why I'm feeling this way. That's why I'm so uneasy around him. This is why I don't trust him, why I feel so suspicious around him. That's it. Let's investigate, right? Because
Hmm.
up until then, she was sort of weary. She wasn't quite sure how to feel. There was that sermon. She's like, I don't get it, and then this comes to her attention. She goes, boom, that's it. That's the key, is that he is sexually assaulting children. That's it, right?
Yep.
And so I think this sort of immediate conclusion sort of scares Sister James, as it would anybody. I think that, it's a big accusation to make. It'll ruin lives, and it changes dynamics, right?
Hmm.
So, and of course, by hearing this sort of possibility, Sister James is immediately um, skeptic of Aloysius, because she's like, "There's no
Yeah.
way, right? In
Hmm.
the world I live in, there's no way this is possible, right?"
Right.
And she maintains that throughout the entire film. She's like, "No way." Even when she's getting close, even when Aloysius is giving her these pieces of evidence that she thinks that she has found, and that even near the end where she says that I threatened him by saying I'd called the nuns at his previous parish and I didn't do that, and he left anyway.
Hmm.
Even then, I feel that Sister James is sort of like, still, I
Yeah.
can't, right?
I think I think it kind of goes exactly with with what you said about Aloysius, about being that she's dedicated her life to this, it can't be for nothing. I think that's a little bit with Sister James as well, which
Mhm.
is, I took these vows, I became a nun. People are inherently good.
Mhm.
And that may not always be the case. And in but we need someone like Sister James in a story like this, because like when Father Flynn gives his answer, to Donald had been caught drinking the wine. I was confronting him about it, and she immediately throws up her hands like, oh, well, that has to be it. Like, oh,
Yeah,
see, there we go.
it's almost funny, right? If it wasn't so
Yeah,
serious, that would have been pretty funny. That she's immediately just so excited that we have an explanation and it makes sense.
right.
Um,
Um, yeah, and it's almost like a part of her is like, well, that's all I needed to know. Like,
mhm,
but as we see with her interaction with him later, she even confronts him a little bit. Like, I saw you putting
mhm.
an undershirt in his locker. Like, what was that about? Because theme of the movie, she is still having some doubts about his truthful story.
Mhm.
But again, um, as we've been saying about Father Flynn, he's very charismatic and very likable. And so he knows how to approach that in not an aggressive or defensive way and make her understand, like, no, like, that was purely innocent. I was trying to, protect Donald by doing, that kind of thing. And it just,
Which
you know,
is, unfortunately, it's relatively reasonable that
mhm,
his explanations are reasonable.
right.
And it's sort of like, I get it. I get that that might also be the case, that that might be true. Um, in that this one nun is just so hell bent on protecting not only what she believes in but the children as well, and then there's one that is doing the same, but by by calming the waters, right? Sister
Hmm.
James is just trying to calm everyone down and just lets everyone just see that this is innocent and that it's fine and that it's explainable, and that I can't she can't believe it. She can't believe that someone would do something so horrible. She also can't believe herself that, with the same as Aloysius, if I've dedicated my whole life to this thing, it's over, right?
Right.
In
Yeah.
that,
100%.
you know, and so again, they both have the same sort of mindset, yet their their tactics and the way their beliefs are being acted out through them are just in different ways, right?
Hmm.
And of course, you could argue that one is just young and naive, right? That Sister James is just young and she's innocent and she doesn't know, right? She doesn't know
Hmm.
that this horrible things can happen. Even Aloysius says she's seen this before, right? She's seen
Yeah.
priests do things like this before.
Which is, kind of wild if you think
Hmm.
about it. But it also makes sense why she's immediately on guard
Yeah.
with Father Flynn,
Hmm.
and why she's so quick to be like, well,
Yeah.
this is happening all over again.
Definitely.
Yeah. Um, so dude, I want to talk about that final interaction with her, Sister Aloysius and Father Flynn,
Hmm. Sure.
because it, fuck.
Yeah.
The one of the videos that I watched talked about how, some scenes are, prior to a certain year of filmmaking were like only maybe 1 to 2 minutes, and this scene's 12 minutes long.
Hmm.
And like they made a point, like this scene is 12 minutes long, and it's so good. This battle of wits and truth and essentially two stubborn people having an argument.
Yeah.
And fuck, it's so good, man. It was so good.
That's a good observation that they're both not backing down, right?
Yeah.
And neither of them do. Neither of them do back down. He never admitted to anything. He's not
Nope.
he's not admitting defeat. She definitely won't either, right? Um in my biased eyes, I think that Aloysius got the better of him. However, if you are an optimist like Sister James, you may find it the opposite, right? You may think that he frustrated her so much that she left, right?
Right.
And the only thing she could think to say is cut your fucking fingernails, and that's it, right? But I'd have to watch it again, and I probably will. Just the back and forth and the explanations they're giving one another for why they think the other one is caught.
Yeah. Well, and and again, hopefully Future Rain credited the video, but like in one of the videos I watched, they talked about how she's so certain. She has no definitive proof, and she is so certain that he sexually abused Donald. And and it's interesting because this whole started because she thought he was having doubts, and then she's holding on to certainty, which isn't the best thing for someone in faith to have. There needs to be some sort of mystery in faith, and she's just so certain. And I love that he asks an important question. Then how do you know? Well, I'm certain. What does it matter? I'm certain you did. And I just love that he says, what do you mean, what does it matter? Of course it matters. I want to know how you know. And it just, oh
Yeah,
it's so good, bro.
I know. It's again this sort of culminates from the opening sermon, the doubt sermon, where
Mm-hmm.
where Father Flynn represents that doubt and represents sort of this sort of the brotherhood of ambiguity, the brotherhood of doubt, where in his sermon he said that doubt can bring you together just as much as certainty does, right? And
Mm-hmm.
in faith it's okay, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is true, right? He's not saying anything I haven't heard a priest say before, right? Priests say it all the time.
Right.
Doubt is okay. Okay? You can question your faith and you can still be faithful. That those two things are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
And yet Aloysius is so hell-bent on not only her faith in Catholicism, but also in this accusation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Her stance is no, I am 100% certain, right?
Right.
And so they're both bringing these to this argument in this final this climax. And again, there's no victor in this. That's up for interpretation, I suppose, because some would say that him transferring is a sign of guilt and a sign of defeat.
Mm-hmm.
Those who do go to Catholic Church and are Catholic will know that priests kind of roam a lot, right?
Yeah. Like that joke I showed you.
That's right. It's common. It is common, right. And trust me, I checked. That if priests in my church that I grew up in were being moved around for malicious purposes, and no, I couldn't find it. So it is commonplace for priests to move around, to get transferred, to do this. We were sort of like a teaching hospital for priests. The priests would come in and do a year or two and then leave. It happens all the time. And so, and so him leaving isn't necessarily a sign of guilt, not if you know, right?
Well, and and someone like Sister James would say, like, well, you threatened him with blackmail. Of course he's going to leave.
Yeah.
Regardless if it was true or not.
Mhm.
He was going to, like, let's say the film answers the question and he didn't do it. Well, because Sister Aloysius's case was so certain that she would have drug his name through the mud.
Mhm.
And so what other option would he have had but to transfer to another church?
Right. It's to call back to the gossip sermon. Once you say it, you can't get it back. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole idea with the pillow and the feathers. Which, by the way, again, amazing. Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that he filmed it, filmed the analogy was really cool.
Yeah. That was cool.
Because obviously you can't do that in the play. Maybe off to the side. I haven't seen the play, so I don't know. But you're right that he saw no choice but to go. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether or not you believe that it's because he is guilty or innocent, that's kind of up to you.
Right.
Here's the insane thing about this story.
Okay.
There's a correct answer.
Okay.
There is a yes, he did it, or a no, he didn't. Okay?
Right.
Guess who knows?
James. Or John.
Only John and Philip Seymour Hoffman know.
Really? And unfortunately, one of them took it to the grave.
So, like he did in the play, he would only tell the actor playing Father Flynn if he is guilty or not.
Shit.
And so, and that's, I mean, it's tremendous. I don't know, like, because he picks these actors who are just so good at ambiguity, and they're so good at towing that line of uncertainty that you just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and man, and Philip Seymour Hoffman, bro. If again, I know I think I said it in the tease for this episode, but if I hadn't said it enough with Magnolia, Synecdoche, Big Lebowski, he's the fucking best. He's deeply missed. But I am glad that P.T. Anderson casted his son in Licorice Pizza, which I still need to see.
It's good. So we talked about the story a lot, and we probably might go back, but I wanted to bring up something that in the filmmaking it sort of brings you that unease in that sort of ambiguity and the uncertainty is in the way it's shot. There's a lot of Dutch angles in the film, which I really liked. So a Dutch angle is when you tip the camera just a little askew, Yeah.
If anyone wants a more recent example, just rewatch the very first Thor movie. Kenneth Branagh shoots that entire movie in Dutch angles.
That's gotta give you a headache.
Yeah.
But it does give you that sort of unease when you're watching the film to see that something is sort of not right. It's an unconscious way of doing that. And Roger Deakins shot the movie.
Shout out to Roger Deakins. I was about to say it, so I'm glad you said it.
An incredible cinematographer that, just go Google him. He's incredible.
Dude, yeah, he's done fucking everything.
But it's an interesting way to shoot it, because that's one thing that I would say that that adds on to the story, right? I think that we are missing stuff. I think we are missing a sort of tone or feeling, or an immersion from not seeing it in the play form, not seeing it on the stage format. Much like all of these were missing a little bit of sort of this immersion magic when it goes to seeing a play, because you're in it, right?
Yeah.
And of course, the creativity of the stage is unmatched. But I think with that, you're playing with different tools and different elements. So to be able to do that, to add in a little Dutch angle every now and then, or to add a low angle, um, play with perception and POV a little bit, to help enhance the theme of the movie, which of course is doubt.
Mhm.
Is really, really cool. And man, this movie is really, I was surprised of how much I loved it this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's and I'm gonna be honest, dude, we've talked in the past about runtimes. This didn't feel like it was an hour and 45 minutes. Like I was just like, wait, it's over? Like, are you kidding me? Because it was just so immersive and I was locked in, from the start.
Yeah, and I want to sort of wind down with this.
Okay.
Is that no matter what, no matter if it's true, no matter if it isn't, it broke Aloysius. Aloysius. It
Yes.
breaks her. It's over. The
Yeah.
damage is done regardless. And
Mhm.
at the end, when she proclaims that she is now having such doubts, and I read it as in her faith. She's doubting her faith.
I read it as with the Father Flynn situation,
So interesting.
but it's too late. And that's why she's having these doubts. It's too late to fix it.
It's fascinating.
Well, and I can't take full credit of that. I mean, I was having that suspicion, but also that video, yeah,
Okay.
they brought that up. But I was like, that makes more sense. That she realizes it's too late for me to fix this.
Mm.
I've made my bed, and I have made him pay the price, and now I have doubts. And yeah, but I agree with you. She could be having doubts about her faith now because if she, let's say she is still holding on to her certainty that he did do it, um maybe just the severity of this situation really shakes her, unlike the other times with the priest from the past that she knew did something like this. So I don't know.
Well, and admitting that she tricked Father Flynn
Mm-hmm.
and lied, and that really got to Sister James. She did not like that.
Yeah.
That she lied to Father Flynn to try to get him to admit something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is not cool. But again, it's sort of like she was so hell bent on getting to the bottom of it and solving this problem, and finally getting him to admit that she is correct and she is right and that this did happen. Sort of overtakes her, right? And she may have even seen that as, this situation took me to a dark place, and if that's possible, then what are we doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that might be, causing her doubts as well. This movie is, the story is just incredible. And we could talk about it for hours, and I feel like maybe we have. I don't know how long we've been going, but I'd like to hear what other people think. So if you've made it this far, God bless you. But
I mean,
like,
Zach for sure has made it this far.
yeah, for sure. Zach hopefully will text me soon, when he's done listening to this, and tell me
And
what
he'll be
he
like,
thinks. Because
why didn't you bring this up?
yeah, I'm sure he will. That we've missed something, and but again, he does such a good job in laying out the story in a way that both ways make sense. And
100%.
it's a tremendous feat. I don't know how he did it. Because I don't know if you Googled him or looked up his filmography, but it's eclectic.
I think, yeah. One of the videos I watched, they talked about one of the movies he wrote, and I was like, "Wait, he wrote that?" And I don't remember what it was.
Well, one of them is Moonstruck, which is great. Moonstruck is a popular one that he wrote. But if you are my age or around my age, he wrote "We're Back," a dinosaur story.
Holy shit, he did!
Yeah. Which is insane. He also wrote some stuff for The Thief and the Cobbler, which is a phenomenal animated film. I don't know if anyone's ever seen it out there. But he also wrote the screenplay for The Congo, and so I mean, it's like
Joe versus the Volcano.
Yes, he did.
That was it.
Yeah. So this guy has, as eclectic talent when it comes to storytelling. And I mean, this one is just something special. I don't know, man. This one is something. Hopefully he'll do stuff later on. I'm hoping we see more of him. I'm not sure what he's working on. I'm trying to look right now, and nothing's really coming up. That he's working on. So hopefully.
Well, I mean, with the strike, I'm sure he's not. Yeah,
that is true. But I'll steal your line. Are you ready to wrap up?
I am, buddy. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, once again, you're setting this bar really high for the end of season series. But I'm also learning that there are good stage adaptations out there. Not everything transitions into film very well. Cats, which is a shame because I love Cats, and I think it could work really well as a film.
Sure,
but you have to do it the right way.
Yeah.
But anyway, I love the movie. I mean, anything with Philip Seymour Hoffman in, I think I'm going to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I will die on this hill. He was the best villain of the entire Mission Impossible franchise. He was fucking awesome.
That's what I've heard.
And yeah, man. And like we said off mic, now I need to watch The Master.
Yeah, definitely.
Since him and Amy Adams joined forces again. So
yep. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. So definitely see The Master. That might be a next season thing too. So don't you worry about that.
For sure. And like I mentioned off mic, I know this isn't the end of this season yet, but I've already got some bangers locked and loaded for next season.
For next time.
But well, buddy, how are we closing out this season? Even though I'm fucking excited.
So just like last time when we did this stage to screen thing, I went in chronological order. We're doing the same. This time, I don't know if anyone's caught on or cared. But so we started with One Flew Over, which is the oldest, and now we are going with the newest, which is a Samuel D. Hunter adaptation of his own play, directed by Darren Aronofsky, The Whale.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I am so excited. This is the only one of this end of season series that I've seen because I would have done anything to see the movie, which you and I got to go see it together.
Yeah, we did.
Man, and to be honest, that movie has stuck with me. I bought it and it has stuck with me, but I have been looking for an excuse to watch it. And I've also been looking for an excuse to make Ashley watch it because, man, it's fucking phenomenal. It's so goddamn good.
This one feels... I'm trying to think, because I would say this one and Glengarry Glen Ross feel most play-like.
I would agree.
In its presentation. I think last season or last time we did this, it would have been like maybe 12 Angry Men and
Sunset Limited.
Yeah. I think most of those
Bug.
are very play-like. I think One Flew Over feels less play-like. And this one felt a little less play-like. I think just in the scale of where they are in the setting where they are, the scale of it seems less play-like.
Yeah, the most play-like in Doubt was the meeting scenes, essentially.
Yes, in her light bulb. That's a very play thing. A very theatrical thing to have a light keep going out and then having to fix it all the time.
Yeah.
That seems very play tropey to me. But yeah, The Whale. Next week. It's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I'm super excited. Again, you've made me a believer of Aronofsky, even though of the films you've made me watch, Mother is my least favorite.
Sure. Understood.
But you know, I've got Black Swan. I need to see it. And you know, even though I don't like the last 5 minutes of Requiem for a Dream, I have it on 4K because it's still such a phenomenal movie, and he knocked it out of the park with this one. So I'm super excited for next week.
Cool.
Yeah. So everyone, we hope you enjoyed Doubt, and we will see you for our season and series finale, The Whale.